My mother's from Bangladesh, and the social system, even though she was the best in her class and she was getting top grades and she was going to a great college, the social system had decided that she shouldn't go to college. Instead, she was going to be married, and they had identified who she was going to marry. And the world is a better place because she didn't follow into the system. So this is what I'm passionate about, is about individuals inside existing companies, breaking through the business model to do something that benefits the world. And there is a lot of agreement that this is impossible. Really smart people. Clayton Christensen said, the very decision-making and resource allocation processes that are key to the success of established companies are the very processes that reject disruptive technologies. The idea that because your business already has clients and revenue and history, you cannot innovate. Or Steve Blank said, corporations are very good at maintaining, defending, and refining existing business models. And they're pretty good at extending existing models by identifying adjacencies, but corporations are weak and have become weaker in identifying new disruption opportunities. So I look to see how true is this? Is this idea we have that it is the entrepreneur that's going to disrupt the future, is that true? And we all know this entrepreneur, right? They quit Harvard, they put on a hoodie, they moved to the West Coast, then they started some dot-com company, right, new technology, and they took down the world. And we love this story. It's the David versus Goliath story. It goes like this. Some individual has a great idea. They go into a garage with a couple other people. You have a hacker, a hustler, and a hipster. And they design something, then they launch a company, and then they take you down, you being the incumbent existing company. So I wanted to see how true is this? So I looked at the 30 most transformative innovations over the last 30 years as judged by a panel of Wharton professors based on 2,000 submissions. These are things like DNA sequencing, right? Like MRIs, like the internet, email. And I wanted to see, is it really the entrepreneur that drove these innovations that we've all benefited from? Out of the 30, how many were introduced by entrepreneurs versus employees? 22 of them were introduced by employees, only 8 by entrepreneurs. And then the next part of the story is the entrepreneurs go into the garage and they build the thing, right? Is that true? Well, actually, only 4 out of those innovations were built in a small informal group. Most are built by communities and large formal groups. You telling your employees, go get 5 people, we'll give you $5,000, we'll give you 5 weeks, and go try to build it. 5, 5, 5. Who scales them? Entrepreneurs only scale 2 of them. It has always been that large companies, the existing companies, when I say large, I just mean existing incumbent companies with employees, they're the ones that have driven the innovations that have most mattered. And Dirk did show some figures that say large companies are having a difficulty surviving, but it's not a question of large versus small. There are fewer entrepreneurs today. The entrepreneurial rate, number of startups per 100,000 people, used to be 250 per 100,000. It's now less than 150 over the last 10 years. Entrepreneurial rates are declining. The number of employees that are working for small companies versus large startups versus existing companies are actually growing. So it's not a question of big versus small. What's really happening is acceleration, which I know that you've talked about before, is that as things become digital, they start accelerating, and both large companies and small companies are having difficulty keeping up. But it's possible.